Oh, and it's thinking about it. And there's usually a slight delay, isn't there?
Yeah.
Usually just a little tiny delay. Let's have another look on there. It'll tell me when we're live. Oh, here we are. Oh, setting up your meeting. Looks like we're live. So we'll just start rabbiting away, shall we?
Absolutely.
Yay. Oh, good morning, everyone. Here we are it's a bit wet and windy here. How is it where you are?
Wet and windy here too. It's definitely gone from those halcyon summer days to being, I think the word is tipping down.
It was tipping down when I got up. It's less tipping down now, which is a good thing. So hurrah for that. So yeah, so hi everyone. I've got my lovely friend Jenny with me again today. I'm sure you all remember Jenny from before. She is a lovely lady I've known for many years now, isn't it, Jenny? You just can't get away from me, can you, darling?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I've seen you more in lockdown than I did previously, which is
in real life. So yeah, so Jenny's with me today, and we're going to be talking about the moon and how it affects us, what we do with it magically, goddessy. What else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about how we work with our practice through it, how the moon affects us, the different moon cycles. And Jenny is going to, she's got a lovely moon oracle, which she'll tell you about later on, and she's going to sort of open that out and do a few little bits and pieces with that. So, and we've got lots of other ideas of things to do. It depends how long we talk for and exactly what it is we get up to today. So that's us for today. So I'll introduce you to Jenny. I'm sure most of you remember Jenny. She's the lovely Jenny Luddington, who lives down the coast near Folkestone. And Jenny has her own company called All Heart Led. And she, amongst other things, is an absolute mad journaling nut, aren't you, Jen?
Yeah, Queen of the Journalers.
Queen of the Journalers. Self-appointed Queen of the Journalers. And I say we've been friends for well, many years now. And yeah, so to start with, the moon cycles, or how does the moon affect you, Jen? I mean, I know for myself, it affects me sleep-wise, which I know is something that you're going to say as well. I personally found, I did a little bit of work on what it does to me and when it does it to me. And as the moon is waxing, so when it's getting fuller, from going from nothing up to full, for me, that makes me really creative. I get lots of creative ideas and creative bursts and quite a lot of energy. But as it gets really full, I have trouble sleeping, which sometimes happens anyway, but not as much. But it's usually when the moon is full. And I don't turn into a werewolf and go around howling or anything. I'm going to make that completely clear. But it definitely does affect my sleep. And then after, as it starts to wane, so as it lessens, it definitely makes me more tired, and I sleep more, and I can get a little bit grumpy, a little bit down. Whether that is an effect of not having that sleep or having disturbed sleep during that time, I mean, that's always possible. But that's what it does to me. So what does it do to you, Jen?
Well, I think for years I've always been affected by the full moon. It really makes me like this crazy insomnical woman. And anyone who knows me in real life knows my cry of that I shake my fist at the moon egg and call it names, and which isn't very spiritual of me. But you know, after that 3 days up to the full moon, it's just like I'm awake. And that was fine. I managed to live with that. And then I found that exactly the same was happening with the new moon. So there was no kind of bright light to explain why I was struggling. But it's the energies of it. So around the new moon, I really just get creative with ideas, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And let's read this and explore that. And I'm just completely pumped up. And then around the full moon, because you've got this bright shiny moon egg through your curtains, it keeps me awake too. So it's just like, you know, for 6 days of the moon cycle, I'm kind of like, I can't sleep. I'm either wired or I'm just being disturbed. And I know that we were talking at Moon Circle with some of the other ladies about how this impacts us, and it's similar for all of us.
It's interesting that it's the new moon, that energy comes through for you. For me, that's by the time we get to that, I'm usually just tired and ready to withdraw. And something else that's interesting is that I've noticed that my own personal cycle with my body's fallen into that sort of pattern, that, you know, quite often I sort of reach my own cycle at the full moon, and then, you know, that I have my own release there, which is it's happened over the last few years. So that's something interesting that I've picked up from it, and whether that's that I'm more aware of it, because I'm definitely far more aware of the moon now than I ever was when I was younger. I don't know about you.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that I've got polycystic ovarian syndrome, so my menstrual cycle's always been a bit messed up. And I always found that you kind of hit some, I don't know what's the right word for it, but within the community, if you weren't synced to the cycles of the moon, you were kind of somehow lesser and not quite as evolved in your pagan cycle. And I remember being really quite upset by it. And I think it was Lisa Lister, who does a lot of things around Code Red and Witch and stuff like that. And she was saying, you know, the moon has a cycle, borrow hers. So in terms of using the moon for magical purposes sort of thing, or feeling lesser or more because of where I was, it was like, I don't need to, I can borrow the moon cycle. I know that I've got a number of neurological conditions sort of thing. So when my cycle wasn't messed up with the PCOS, I've quite often been on birth control, which would for me stop my periods completely, and that would lessen the amount of seizures that I had. And again, a lot of judgy McJudgesons coming in saying, oh, being on birth control, you're stopping yourself off from the natural flow of the universe. And it was like, yeah, but it works for me.
Yeah.
Having seizures isn't that much fun. So you'll hear a lot of people say a lot of things, but at the end of the day, you've got to do what works for you.
I was going to say, I think that's something that's really important to remember, is that it's your cycle is your cycle, and whether it's coming to, like mine's coming to tune with it, but that will only be for a few months, and then it will naturally unalign itself, because my cycle is not 29 and a half days. I wish. I absolutely wish, but it's just the last few months it has been in complete sync with it, and that's been it's been very powerful. And I think, wonder if that's why it's really been affecting me, is that they have collided over time. So, but it will uncollide. Oh, Janine's with us. Good morning, Neen. Hello, lovely ladies. Happy to be able to listen today. Good morning, Flower. How are you? So yeah, another thing is it affects, I've got lots of cats, and it does affect my cats. They run around the house like absolute lunatics. Does it affect your guinea pigs?
Not so much, because he's kind of inside the, you know, where my hall is. He's living in the hall at the moment, so not so much. But having worked with young people, I can tell you, and I think nurses and doctors and stuff will say the absolute same, that it does affect people.
It does.
Profession.
I mean, myself and Neen, who's watching, we both worked, and Neen still does, for years with people with a learning disability. And, you know, I'm not making any judgments about them or their abilities at all. But, you know, there's sometimes when, and the staff as well, there would be, you know, behaviour that you'd think, where did that come from? What's that all about? And we would joke and say, is it the full moon? And actually, yeah, it would be the full moon. You know, and it's, I don't think it's it is a fact, isn't it, that the word lunatic comes from lunar. And I'm not equating, obviously, these lovely people that we work with lunatics, but, you know, obviously that is a term that would have come from the asylums. Yeah, so not condoning that, just putting that out there, but it is, you know, there would be some very strange behavior. And also the I've noticed working in pubs over the years that you would get more fights at a full moon. Just because people, you know, and if you think, you know, your friends. I mean, quite often, I mean, I don't know if people have noticed, but there is quite often some really strange behaviour coming up to it, and behaviour you just can't work out what it's all about.
It's like just even going on Facebook and just
Yeah.
think, oh look, there's there, Shell's there. all the moon ladies are online, and
we're all on, and that was really interesting. Our friend Shirley posted an article the other day, and it was the moon affects your level of melatonin, doesn't it?
yeah.
I can't. What was it? It affected your level of melatonin, which is the reason why you can't sleep, isn't it?
Yeah. And Carly Rose has just come on and said, yes, study shows increased mental instability every 28 days, tying in with the full moon.
Okay.
And more babies born on full moons. Her daughter was, and more old people die on full moons. Have you noticed?
Okay. Oh, thank you, Carly. Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, I'll have to because I do some work in nursing homes, so I'll have a look at that. I'll have to that was in asylum studies. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean there is a lot of Janine's okay. The full moon was a time full of emotion, more than usual for me. Yeah, I know Janine did say that she had a bit of a I'm sure she won't mind me saying, you were having a bit of an emotional week this week, weren't you, Janine? And it was obviously the full moon on Thursday. It was Thursday, wasn't it? I'll send you the post. Yeah, cheers, Carly. That'd be really interesting. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's brilliant. So going on from that, so how the moon affects us, we were going to talk a little bit about the moon cycles and the names. So I'm pretty sure most of you know a bit about the moon, but it starts with the new moon. That's where we're starting. And it's also known as the dark moon, and it's also the balsamic moon, isn't it, Jen? I don't quite know why it's called the balsamic moon.
Well, I have it in my notes somewhere. Have I got it in some?
Have a look in your notes and see if you know. And then I'm just going to go through what they're called. Then it comes to the waxing crescent, because when I was researching this, I found out something I hadn't realised before. So the waxing crescent is just a small crescent of the moon that you can see. And the new moon is completely dark. You can't see anything that night. And then it comes to the first quarter, which is what I call the half moon. And I really didn't realise that is, so when it's straight down the middle, that is the first quarter, because you'd think the crescent would be the quarter, wouldn't you? But it's not. The half moon's your quarter. And then waxing gibbous is when the moon is coming up to full moon. So you've got like 3 quarters, and gibbous is when it's waxing is when it's growing, and waning is when it's diminishing. Then of course we get to the full moon, which everybody's aware of and we've just been talking about, and then it will come to where it goes to 3 quarters again. But if you look at it, you notice that the moon, the bit that's missing goes to the other side. It changes sides, so it'll wax that way and wane that way, I think it is. Then you get the last quarter, which is the half moon again, and then it goes to the waning crescent, and then of course it goes back to new moon. So that's and I didn't realise about the quarters. Did you know about that, Jen, or is that just me being an ignoramus?
No, I think I did know about the quarters sort of thing. So for me, the new moon is a time that I do my planning and I set my new intentions. It's one of the vision boards sort of thing. So for me, I think the new moon, it's a time of like limitless potential.
Yeah.
And it's a time for new beginnings, blessing new endeavors, and strengthening relationships. What about yourself?
Yeah. The new moon, yeah, definitely. That's it's well, we have a moon circle at the new moon, don't we? Which is, it's a group of ladies we know. I suppose it's kind of like a coven, really, isn't it? You don't think of it as being that, but it probably is, isn't it? In a little way, a crazy ladies coven. But for the new moon, I mean, that's a good time for intentions, isn't it? And it's a good time to, like you say, plan for the future. And I do find that different times of the lunar cycle, I have more enthusiasm, more oomph to do things. And that, yeah, so the intention's there. And we'll get on to the moon journaling with you in a minute, Jen, because I know you do that. But yeah, it definitely is a time for intentions and setting things, and it's a really good time to set up new ventures, isn't it? To start new ventures.
Yeah.
and not always on a Monday. I know we did a social media course, didn't we? And she said, don't always start on a Monday. Monday's a really bad day to start things, but you do think of Mondays being the start of the week, don't you?
Yeah.
So I do wonder if that applies to the moon as well.
Well, I think one of the things I like about being pagan, isn't it, is that there's so many resets and start overs sort of thing. I think, you know, for the mundane world, they've got all of that energy at New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And yet through even the month, through the wheel of the year, there's always something in the Sabbats and the Esbats about starting over.
There's always a reset button, isn't there? Every few weeks I find you can take stock, and something I found, and I've got some posts I'll put up afterwards. It talks about the new moon being a great time to reflect and cleanse your energy, and I think it's a good starting point, isn't it, where you go, actually, here is a natural rhythm that I can tap into and work by. Does that make sense to people? Yeah. I hope it does. Like I said, it's a good time for, if an intention requires you to focus on something, and it's that reflection, isn't it? Like you're saying with the new year, new moon, new start, it's all new, the word new, isn't it?
And it's that energy. So, and you can see the moon growing and diminishing sort of thing. So when you get to that crescent moon, for me, that's about, well, actually, I've done the planning. What actions am I going to take to make that happen? Because I think, with the vision boards, it's not just about sticking some pretty pictures on and waiting for it all to come to you. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And it's growing that excitement. It's letting things build until they reach that kind of crescendo at the full moon.
Definitely, and it's also a good time for divination, isn't it? Because that goes hand in hand with focusing and setting your intentions out. So that is a good, and I've read that somewhere, that divination's a good day. It's a good time for divination. Sorry.
I think you get a couple of times when divination is quite good in that planning stage. So what you're going to do, and then in the later stages where you're thinking, well, actually, what have I learned? What do I need to release?
Yeah, which takes us on to the next quarter. The next quarter is the Waxing Crescent, where putting together plans and sort of looking at what's working, looking at what hasn't, and maybe thinking that this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to achieve it, so that the energy is growing and your focus is growing. I think that's a good time for doing that.
I also think it might be where you hit a barrier, and if you hit the barrier, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to plan B, sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing, is because as you move forward to the first quarter, it sort of becomes, Sylvie's here, good morning, Sylvie. It's sort of, as you get to the first quarter, which is when it's a half, which people sometimes think is like halfway through, but it's actually a quarter of a way through. Keywords for that are growth and strength and developing. And like you say, if you've hit the barrier and you thought, well, actually, I've knocked on this door, knocked on that door, and they're not opening, what am I going to do? It's the point where you go, okay, plan C, plan D is coming in here, and actually I'm going to phone a friend. That kind of, where you sometimes, you realise that what you want to do isn't immediately available, but you don't give up. You pop in and try other things, don't you?
What you said there just resonated to me about phoning a friend. I think this first quarter is that time to kind of put out to the universe, who can I attract to me that will be that collaborator to help me with that goal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously some goals are long term, but a simple goal of starting something, and you can plan to start something for some length of time, can't you?
Yeah.
Because then obviously you move on to the waxing gibbous, which is when it's sort of about 3/4. So by now you're on about day 11, something like that. So that's about attraction and success and health, and focusing on what is happening, the final stages of the planning. Now that sounds strange, but you're still in that. You are still in that part of the planning, and sometimes it doesn't come to fruition straight away, does it? I mean, the number of times that I've thought, right, I can do this, and you can start on a Tuesday, and by 3 weeks time you think, well, I haven't got any further, but it's still there, isn't it?
I'm just reminded of that kind of phrase, there's many a slip between cup and lip.
Oh, I've never heard that one before.
I think that. And can we just have a silent moment's appreciation for the word gibbous?
Gibbous.
It's
Gibbous.
gorgeous, isn't it?
It is a good word, gibbous, isn't it? I wonder where it comes from. Is there a gibbous?
It
I'm going to
means
Google gibbous while we're here. Gibbous. Gibbous
rounded and bulging, near
is what?
fruition, rounded and bulging and
Gibbous.
near fruition.
Okay, that sounds like a really good word. Convex and protuberant. Protuberant. What a good word that is too, isn't it? So we've now got to the full moon. So obviously this is a good time for protection and banishing, cleansing and charging, and healing. And I think a lot of us will cleanse our crystals at the full moon. Mm-hmm. You're not particularly a crystal person, are you?
I'm not a particular crystal person. Have you seen my new practice about buying myself a box of chocolates and making a chocolate grid and eating it?
No, but that sounds interesting.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things that I do at the full moon. I do forgiveness work. So forgiveness for all the people I've upset and for all the people that upset me. And it's also a really important time for me for gratitude. So if you work with that kind of concept of the law of attraction, nothing brings more abundance into your life than being grateful for what you really have.
Yeah. I think that's important as well to recognize, isn't it? And that's to reflect on throughout the cycle, that you give what you get what you give, and that is, if you heal yourself, you'll heal outwards as well and heal others by your attitude. And that's difficult sometimes it's really bloody difficult, but it is there, isn't it? And the law of attraction of positivity, I mean, sometimes it's incredibly difficult, but definitely there, isn't it?
And the thing is, even on your crappiest day, you can find a silver lining.
Yeah,
there's always some, even if it's just that you've got good mates who pick you up when you're having a little sobathon.
Yeah, a sob. Definitely, that's definitely so true. So we get to the waning gibbous. Waning gibbous. That sounds like a character, doesn't it? From a Marvel thing. Waning gibbous. Sorry, that just amused me. So for this sort of section, we're on about roughly about day 18 of the cycle. And again, this is on about cleansing negativity and undoing curses and hexes. So we'll come to that in a minute, but getting rid of energies. And I think for full, sort of as the moon wanes, I think power wanes. So if you've got something that you think is binding you or hexing you, it's a really good time to undo it, because the power is waning for that thing that's been put on you, or something negativity that you feel is attached to you. And I don't necessarily mean hexes and curses. I mean, if you're in a negative situation, it's a good time to sort of start looking at the focus of the power around you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it's about doing that in a work now. Everything was been going out, building energy, and now it's decreasing. So that disseminating moon, for me, I'm tired because I've celebrated all of my successes at the full moon, and I'm just turning that energy down. I'm turning that energy inward. So again, a lot of this time I would be journaling about what I'm ready to release. What have I learned?
Yeah, I mean, I meditate a lot better when it's really dark. So again, that ties in that, with time, I tend to, like you say, go inwards and listen to my inner voice of reason and honesty, I suppose, is a lot louder. And when I was doing my calling in yesterday, and for those of you who don't know, calling in, I mean, that's what I call it. Other people call it prayers. Other people call it various things. But that's when I always do a grounding, and then I call in the goddess, and I'm thankful for the things that I'm thankful for. And sometimes I'm thankful for things that you wouldn't be thankful for, if that makes sense, because I think, well, it's obviously there to bring me a lesson, for me to learn something. and also, you know, I was talking to yesterday, I was in my sort of calling in yesterday, I was acknowledging the fact that it is the autumn and the darkness is coming and it's time to reflect. And I was asking Goddess for help with identifying within me what I need to be more honest about, what I need to look at and go, I need to deal with that, or I need to do something about that, or actually you need to look at how you dealt with that kind of thing, where I'm reflecting on myself and learning, not just going, oh yeah, I was a bit of a cow then, which doesn't happen very often, but it does, you know, but how I can learn from it and how I can use that to move on and learn new things. Does that make sense to you, Jen?
Yeah. And I
and
definitely,
go on.
sorry, carry on.
Oh, you carry on, my darling, it's fine.
I think, you know, that, yeah, releasing things is so important. I know that we both like a good fire sort of thing, and there's nothing as effective as writing what is it I don't need anymore, and then casting it to the flames for it to be transformed in that kind of womb of the goddess, in that cauldron of inspiration. And
Definitely.
I find it very therapeutic. I feel sorry for people that don't have rituals in their life that allows them to burn crap up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, like you talk about negativity, or people talk about negativity, and they often think about it being other people's negativity in. And I think this is a good time to look at it and go, do you know what? I didn't, you know, that wasn't the best thing to do there. And whether that's breaking a habit of, I don't know, paranoia, or worrying, being anxious, those sorts of things that you might not think necessarily about as being negative because they're coming from you, but you need to look at how you react to things and how you deal with things. Sorry, I've got a sudden pain in my tummy, which is probably telling me that I need to deal with something. But I'm trying to think what the words are. But to look deeper in, and sometimes acknowledge something that's going on within you that you don't want to look at. I think that's what I'm trying to say. The hidden stuff.
Shadow work.
Yeah, shadow work. That's it. I couldn't think what the phrase was there. I was having a moment. I was having an absolute moment because my belly was hurting. So what does that mean? What does it mean when my belly's hurting, Jen?
I think it's probably you need to trust your gut about something.
Oh, and it probably means I'm hungry too. I haven't had my breakfast yet. No, it's all to do with food with me. So then you get to obviously the Waxing Crescent, which is about 25. And this thing I've got here talks about meditation and balancing, ridding of illness, and you're bringing yourself round in full circle to start again. And I think that's quite a good little system to work with. Now, I know you do your moon journaling. So do you want to talk about, because you have a full moon release, don't you, and a new moon intention setting. So do you want to have a little chat about that?
Well, I mean, you know, as I sort of touched on, at the new moon, we set the intentions, we do our vision boards, we might be drawing oracle cards to be the guidance that we need in the month ahead. And then at the full moon, it is that review and that release. It's what did I learn this cycle? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to celebrate? So we do not quite a vision board at the full moon, but we bring in the pictures or the memories that we want to hold and we want to collate and we want to celebrate, sort of thing, because nothing stays forever, sort of thing. So I think I've got this idea now that I've got these hundreds of journals full of vision boards, or memory boards as I call them, and I think in my twilight years, when I'm sat with the 22 grandchildren going, well, this is what I did, and this is what I did, and this is what I did. And, you know, they're big things, they're small things, they're things that I read. And I think we remember the big events, but there's so many small threads of beautiful things that will we remember 40 years after the event.
There's lots of little things that, I mean, there's a lovely saying, it's all the little things that are the big things, you know, and it's little tiny things, you know, things that made you giggle and how somebody got a nickname, they're things that get lost in the eons of time, when actually they're really big things. They may be a silly thing that happened once and that's how a nickname stuck, or something that made you giggle that you couldn't look at your friend or your other half or your mum without collapsing into laughter, those sort of things. And there'll be a standing joke about, I mean, we've got my nan, bless her, she once went to a bakery and said, how much are those halfpenny buns, right? because in her day they were called halfpenny buns, you know. So now, you know, if we're not sure how much something is, go, how much are them halfpenny buns? And it's just stuck. But I had to ask my mum why that was, because my nan couldn't tell me for laughing. And you know, but my children, if I don't tell them why that's happened, and it was just one incident, a huge thing, but it's interesting, isn't it, how these things happen.
But I think, yeah,
my nan, bless her, she was so lovely.
We tend to record the big important events, you know, what's going on in the world. And I know a lot of us have our Facebook or our social media, but if there's one digital pulse that takes all of that out, what are we going to be left with?
Yeah, I've got a lot of photos that I really should, you know, little things, are just a random barbecue, just a walk that captures the day, the essence, the feeling of, you know, that moment in time, that if it's not recorded is lost, isn't it? And yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
And I think that was one of the things that I started doing with my full moon practice, was print more photos.
Yeah. Yeah. We take so many, we just go snap, 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 snap now, don't we? And it's so many. I mean, you used to have photo albums, big. My mum's got two suitcases full of photos, and most of mine are digital these days. I do print off some special ones every now and then, but yeah, I mean, I know for me, I always, when I'm doing my grounding, which I've done with everybody before here, but I always, when I sort of, obviously I go down to the centre of the earth, and I go up to the stars, but I always mention the moon and where it is, and, you know, what position it's in, and that's I always know where it is because of that, and it just feels important for me to acknowledge that. When I charge my crystals in the full moon, and maybe not, so I don't so much have magical, you know, I don't have an athame, and I don't have all those bits and bobs, but maybe if I've got, I have got a special what do you call it, earthenware chalice that I just used because I saw it was nice. I bought it on Lindisfarne, and I just bought it because it was, I think Mark bought it for me actually. And when I do use that for the Sabbats, just because it's a nice one, you know, a normal cup would do, you know, but I do have that one. But I do sometimes just put Glastonbury water in that and leave it out in the full moon, just so that it's special for me. But I mean, not for any particular magical purpose other than making it special for me. I did make some moon water the other night, didn't I? That was on the full moon on Thursday, and I've got some lovely bottles of Glastonbury water. Janine might recognise these because she's got a family near there. Every time she goes, she gets me water. So I put some crystals in there, and I put some lemon balm in and some rosemary to make some magical water for someone dear to me, for them to pop in their bath, just to give them a boost of prosperity and encouragement at the moment, because they're struggling a little bit. So yeah, that's the sort of thing I do. But I you know, with the moon, I just love looking at it as well. I quite often go out for a moon gaze. I'm you know, I'm sure I was a werewolf. I'm quite hairy, you know. Perhaps I was a werewolf in a former life. So that's what I do with the moon. That's what you do with the moon. I know in tarot, it's a card that's very popular, and I'm just going to show you some of mine before Jenny's got a wonderful pack she's going to talk to you about. But the moon it's all about intuition, isn't it, in tarot and oracle as a rule? But this is my tarot Mucha pack, which is based on the work of Alphonse Mucha. And there's the moon there, and it talks about illusion and intuition. And the moon can be a dodgy card, can't it, in tarot? It can she holds her hands to her lips, for silence and secrecy are needed in this realm. This is the place of looking within, of intuition and psychic messages. And I just love that picture of the moon. And this one is from my druid craft tarot deck. And if you can see the wolves in there, I just think that's absolutely lovely, howling at the moon. So it's me saying about the moon and the wolves, but yeah, I would like to howl at the moon. That would be quite fun. And then when
we can all get together, we can go for a nice group howl somewhere.
We could go for a howl. I'd be up for a howl. Who'd be up for a howl? Anybody want to come howling at the moon with us? It's rather satisfying, isn't it? And again, from here, keywords are psychic awakening, dreams, deep revelation of feminine mysteries, withdrawal and facing fears. Fear is a powerful teacher and ally. If you can walk through the gates of fear, you will arrive at the realm of the goddess, who will bless you with inner vision. That's an interesting thing. And this last one's very simple. That's from my Angels and Ancestors pack, and that is take note of intuitive messages, which again is, you know, look into what you're being told and trusting your gut, which is something you said earlier on, wasn't it, about trusting your gut? So use your intuition, practice discernment, see through illusions and blockages. Yeah, so it's very closely associated with divine feminine. So I know you've got a lovely set there that you really, really enjoy. So do you want to tell us a bit about them?
Right, Moonology. It's cards, books, diaries, all by the lovely Yasmin Boland. So if you fancy learning a little bit more about lunar practices, I would very thoroughly recommend giving her a read. So this is quite a new deck to me. I think my son bought it for Mother's Day, actually, because he's a good boy to his mum. So if you would like to put a comment below during the live, I will pull a card for you. So I will pull one for the lovely Claire first. Oh, and that one has jumped out.
That's me. That's me. I'm the lovely Claire. I think Janine's got this pack. I remember her showing me. What does that say?
I have got there, your hard work paying off, and it's the new moon in Capricorn.
Okay.
So you've definitely been doing a lot of hard work recently, haven't you?
Yes. Yes, I would say I have. Yes. I've been lots of planning, lots of getting stuff ready, because obviously it's a bit of a pain in the bum really having coronavirus, which means I can't do everything we want to do. But yeah, I have been working hard behind the scenes to do things. Yes, let's howl. Janine's up for howling. I used to howl with the wolves when I was at Howlett's. Oh, that is awesome. That is, I can imagine Janine. Janine, she's very much in touch with the earth, aren't you, Janine? So right, everybody does want a card. I'll go through that in a minute. Me, because not this all about me, but Jenny just did ask me. Yeah, I'm hoping my work's paid off. I could do with some more work. I could do with some more funerals. It doesn't mean I want to kill people off, but you know, I could do with some more work. So hopefully, right. So
I just had a little quick look in the book, and what it was advising is make a proper plan and execute it well. And I know you've been doing lots of planning, haven't you?
Yes, and I've just on my list, a to-do list, because I have to have a to-do list because otherwise I forget to do things. It's been mauled by a cat. Look, cats have been at that. Can you see that?
Oh my
That's
goodness.
a naughty cat, that is. On my to-do list is identify the undertakers to give cards and deliver business cards. It's there. It's there.
Right.
My next thing. So that's some more to do.
I've just had one leap out for the lovely Sylvie.
Sylvie.
Oh my goodness, you're all new moons at the moment. So Sylvie's card is new moon in... Oh, it's just the new moon. It's not a new moon in something. So a new start is coming. So I'm just looking at the question box again. I know with you, Sylvie, you're probably looking for new starts. So I'm just going to have a quick look in the bag. As I said, these are not in the bag, in the book, because these are quite new to me. And what you've got is there is a yes coming your way.
Oh.
It's one of the most auspicious cards in the deck. It's totally positive and suggests something new and exciting is developing. So, Sylvie, I wish you all the best with that. And the kind of mantra to attune to the moon for this one is, I'll see it when I believe it. So,
is that still the attitude as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm on it. I've just started. Just going to sort my spare room for it. Yes, go on, Sylvie. Go on.
Brilliant.
So Janine and Carly would both like cards too.
Let's see what's leaping out for Carly Rose. So this is for you. Ooh. You've got waxing moon. So let's have a little look at that.
The energy is gaining momentum. Ooh.
Yeah, the energy is gaining momentum. So I will just have a little look in the book. 26. Right. That's not the right one. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, just Sylvie is saying ooh, and she's saying it is, and I think that might be to her saying that the I'll see it when I believe it is her sort of, you know, attitude kind of thing. I've never actually met Sylvie in person. I've only met her online, but it's very much feels how you are, Sylvie. That yeah, show me the goods, show me the I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing. So Carly's saying thank you. We'll come to you in a minute, Janine.
Right, so I'm just going to finish off this one. Right, the energy is gaining momentum. So during the waxing moon cycle, hope springs eternal. This card is a very positive omen, indicating that you create the reality you're dreaming of, though it will take some work and you're not quite there yet. Well, our lovely Carly Rose is the hostess of the White Witch podcast, and she has just been nominated for a Witches Award for Best New Podcast. So,
Carly Rose, how exciting! I have to have a listen to that one.
And your Attune to the Moon mantra is, I know I'm headed in the right direction. So yes. We are hoping that that will be a win for you, because you deserve it, and your podcast is absolutely awesome. Do check Carly out.
Okay.
Carly also runs,
that sounds about right, thank you, she's saying.
Also runs the Literary Witches Coven. So if you want to
you want to talk about that?
We had the first one and we were reading Intuitive Witchcraft, which again I think is a very kind of moony phase to be trusting your intuition. So it's Neen next, and what has leapt out is surrender to the divine. So that's the full moon.
Oh, Janine, did you hear that? Surrender to the divine, which is the full moon. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to say anything because I know Neen really, really well, but I'm interested to see what you come out with, Jen.
Right, so the very word climax, nobody giggle because I know you're all filthy. The very word climax brings all sorts of ideas and images to mind. Agreed? But it really is the feeling of this card. Life is coming to a head, a point, a conclusion, or a turning point. There is some kind of change and possibly even some sort of emotional explosion. Well, I hope your explosion isn't too big, but your attune to the moon was, I'm getting the answers I need. And I've got a feeling that that's quite significant to you, Neen.
Yeah, I don't know if I think hope she's still with us, but yeah, I know the moon, the full moon this week's really sort of had an impact on Janine, and she's got yeah, I'll see with Janine. I don't know if she's still here. Or because we're in a bit of delay as well, aren't we? But I know that will make a lot of sense to Janine this week. So, Carly Rose is saying, oh, I love that. Thanks, Jenny. I only know because of you. Yeah, so that's awesome. So, and as
I said, they are a lovely little deck, and you know, not on commission, but as we always say, anybody who wants to send us free stuff for an honest review, we're all over that.
Oh, Janine's just put, wow, thank you, that is so relevant right now. And it is. I know this full moon hit her hard, and we had a few little conversations earlier in the week, didn't we, Janine, when everything was a bit difficult. But yeah, and she funnily enough, I checked in with her later in the week. I said, how you doing? And she said, yeah, it all needed to come out. So, you know, it was, and again, you've got that reflection of like, actually, it was a really tough time, but it made me deal with something. It made me look at something. So, and I know, Janine needs lots of love and hugs right now. So I'm sending those to you, darling. Mwah. So, yeah, so thank you, Jenny. So we've only spoken for 3/4 of an hour. That's a miracle for us, isn't it? So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. I think I can undo it on here. I'm not sure. This is, oh, I seem to have frozen. What's going on? But anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. It's lovely to be with you all. And thanks for popping by. And we'll see you all again soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. I'm going to end it. No, I'm not going to end it, but you know what I mean. Stop live stream.